This evening, let's explore letting go of toxic living situations. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you are looking for. This morning we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as profoundly as Ahsoka Tano on Lothal, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Once again this morning we could explore letting go of toxic living situations that you too could meditate like a Jedi. If at any point during this morning's live stream you have a question, there is no need to be shy. Simply type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of your screen. Of course, if you're watching a replay, you want to type your questions in the comment area below. My friends here in California, it is dark 100. So if you're anything like me, you may wish to knock out a few repetitions of geriatric step back squat thrusts. And if this is not your first rodeo, you might even combine it with a recitation of compassion and enthusiasm. All of this is optional. Let's see. Let's test the screen to make sure everything's copacetic. Let's check to see if there's any urgent questions. Doesn't appear to be any. So let's, as they say in the Squire of Gothos, tally-ho. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path, relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path, relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path, the Buddha's, on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. And now we come to this morning's opening lesson. I'm going to take a moment to insult everyone's intelligence. There are some situations, there are some living situations that are toxic, either maliciously or accidentally. Sometimes we have done everything we can to remedy the situation and it still can't be remedied. Other times we haven't. Sometimes we want to, but we just don't know what to do. Sometimes we have left a toxic situation. Sometimes we're preparing to depart a toxic situation. Other times we're in the process of healing it or have healed it. And yet, it can feel like we are metaphorically haunted by the toxic situations we have escaped from in the past, or the toxic situations we're trying to work our way through right now without losing our shit, without becoming right proper villains ourselves. How do we let go in a way that is not merely fancy talk for repressing? How do we let go in a way that does not perpetuate our identity as a doormat, metaphorically speaking? Consider, if you will, when it comes to human behavior, two toxic extremes, being scattered or being contrived, neither of which is sustainable. If those two extremes were mountains, then the valley where the mountains touch could fill with a stream. And the stream that meanders between those two extremes is neither absence of spontaneity nor scattered spontaneity, but it is centered spontaneity. It is the natural byproduct of blending mindfulness and meditation with our inhalation and our exhalation so we could really maximize the profit we get from our own sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. This is not just self-talk, this is not auto-suggestion, this is not affirmations. Those don't work. We're using our most ancient neuro pathways to help us process, to help us make peace with that which would make a rabbi drink. But how is that going to help us not be a doormat? Simple. Truly effective mindfulness and meditation nurtures the centered spontaneity through which our choices and utterances and deeds can flow, as if we were going along for the ride. There's a wonderful scene in the first Matrix movie. If I remember correctly, it is the final reel. And Neo has had his awakening, and he's now doing battle with Agent Smith, and he's doing so effortlessly. Just watching his body respond effortlessly and effectively to the agent, to the point where he's even doing it one-handed, without even giving it only his peripheral attention. So that is not disassociation. That is something else, something a trifle more wondrous, something that is available to those of us who meditate effectively and regularly. At first glance at the Buddha's Eightfold Path, it would seem that mindfulness and meditation don't cartwheel along until the seventh and eighth folds. Everything else supports meditation, including our contemplations of love, and in this case, our contemplations of letting go. I don't know about you, but my first tantric teachers were fundamentalists, And so the majority of my training was in contemplation. My training in mindfulness meditation occurred after that foundation was set. That seems to be in harmony with the late Dilgo Khyentse, one of the 14th Dalai Lama's tutors, who insisted that meditation without view sets oneself up for folly. So we're going to play with view right now in a manner that I hope you will find therapeutic, emotionally therapeutic, intellectually therapeutic, and perhaps even circumstantially therapeutic. That, like Neo in the hallway, you might surprise yourself with the skillfulness that flows through you. Having said that, this is one of the many rhetorical questions I'm going to share with you this morning. The majority, all the rhetorical questions I'll share with you this morning will be in the practice. I'm only going to use one rhetorical question during this opening lesson. One moment. Why is it that as we inhale, we could observe the visual aspects of our circumstance, and yet, as we physically relax into our exhalation, this exact same circumstance could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Now, a simile is only as effective as it is relatable. So, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although is tantalizing to the eye, is intangible to the touch? Well, then that would make voidness or emptiness a metaphor, not a literal phenomena. So why is it that when we physically relax into our exhalation, our circumstances, regardless of how delightful or how toxic they may be, could begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as the archetypical paradise or pure land or Avanti of a real or imagined Buddha, a paradise comprised only of light. Having crafted this rhetorical question, we now are ready to apply it. And we apply it in a threefold manner. During our inhalation, we silently and mentally recite the question. It's not our job to answer it. It's not our job to believe it. It's not our job to visualize it. If all we do is silently, mentally recite it in harmony with our inhalation, that is enough. The second thing we're going to do is, in coordination with our exhalation, we're going to whisper the mantra. And we'll explore the mantra in greater detail in a few minutes. The third aspect is, while whispering the mantra, we physically relax as best we can. Now, the good news is you don't have to force that. We are already wired to do that. We could consider that our factory installed programming. However, most of us, because of our culture, because of the idiosyncrasies of evolution are so out of touch with our innate wiring that we have forgotten that we are already wired to relax in harmony with each exhalation. But blending the mental recitation with the verbal recitation, with the physical sensations of inhaling and exhaling and relaxing, is therapeutic. You could play with this for 4 breaths or 16 breaths. And while it might not shift your circumstance, it can make it easier to make peace with your circumstance. Any idiot can make peace with blowjobs and beers. Any idiot can make peace with cunnilingus and coffee. Any idiot can make peace when life is a bowl of cherries. What separates the grown-ups from the children, petulant and full of poop-filled nappies, is the ability to make peace with the appalling. To make peace with the appalling and to make peace with our instinctive response to the appalling. Our instinctive drives to shove at some things and reach for other things, cling to yet still other things. Our job is not to acquiesce to that. Our job is not to fight to that. Our job is to notice that, the toxicity of our circumstance, and sometimes our toxic knee-jerk responses. To notice it and let go in a manner that sets space for greater love and wisdom to just gush on through. I had a visual image just then from the first Star Wars movie, Episode 4, A New Hope, in the Death Star when they were launching the planet-killing Rey, and the workers turned their back to the Rey, and the Rey just shot right past them. Not that I want all of us to serve the evil empire, but you get the basic idea. Something stronger than us can shoot right by us. That's what can happen with this profoundly therapeutic centered spontaneity that we access through these incredibly easy and arguably silly techniques. Every 12 hours, I broadcast a live meditation class without any ads. This channel is supported by the generosity of viewers just like you. With your help, this channel could support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers, each replete with a resident teacher and their apprentice. If this speaks to you and you'd like to help out, even for as little as the cost of just 1 cup of coffee a month, easy. Simply poke around the description area below the video. You'll find a link for Patreon, another for PayPal, a button for YouTube's Join, and another for YouTube's Super Chat. You can click any one of those, whichever speaks to you metaphorically. Checking the time, it's 19 after. I think it could be great fun if together as a team we chanted 6 passages from my adaptation and amplification of the Padmakara group's translation of the final meditation manual attributed to Dzogchen Rinpoche, the heart treasure of the enlightened ones, written in Tibet in the late 1800s. Together, put your child devotion in the doorway of your practice. Give your son renunciation, mastery over the household of ordinary life. With your daughter compassion to the bridegroom of the three worlds, consummating your duty to the living, recite the suitable mantra. Whatever appears as 12jan and has no truly graspable existence, fear of samsara and hope for nirvana are just thoughts and nothing more. If you could liberate thoughts as they arise, that includes all the stages of the path. Applying the essential instruction for liberating thoughts, recite this 12-syllable mantra. Your own mind, aware and void inseparably, is like the mastery of awareness and letting go, known as the Dharmakaya. Leave everything as it is in fundamental simplicity, and clarity will arise by itself. Only by doing nothing will you do all there is to be done. Leaving everything invulnerably naked, awareness, recite this 12-syllable mantra. Let stillness cut the momentum of moving thoughts. Within movement see the very nature of stillness, where stillness and movement all one. Maintain the naturally spontaneous and uncontrived mind. In the experience of one pointedness, recite this 12-syllable mantra. By examining with awareness vulnerable, passive, visceral, and spontaneous relative truth, establish the physical relaxation and mental release, revealing absolute truth. Within the physical relaxation and mental release, revealing absolute truth, see how the awareness, vulnerable, passive, visceral, and spontaneous of relative truth arises. Whether to choose practices are inseparable from the practices of inhalation and exhalation. True mastery beyond intellect is the state of simplicity. In the view free of all elaboration, recite this 12-syllable mantra. From appearances cut away the clinging of mind. From mind demolish the layer of fictitious appearances. Where mind and appearances are one is infinite emptiness. In the realization of the one taste of infinite openness, that is shared by all, recite this 12-syllable mantra. Checking for questions. Let's move forward. Tapping button 9, we turn to this morning's primary practice text, which will be available for free download in less than 6 hours. May everyone be free from stress, may everyone be happy, may no one be separated from the happiness, may everyone have balance free from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging. Take two. Okay, I just rewrote this yesterday, so I'm still getting used to it. May everyone be free from stress, may everyone be happy, may no one be separated from the happiness, may everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, freed. I explained this in a reel I created yesterday and uploaded to all of social media. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path, through relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path, through relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path, through relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. We now come to the first and to the second and then first folds of the Eightfold Path. We're going to bring mantra contemplation into the path of love. Through the cause and effect of my practice of love and letting go, may each sentient being of each world now practice with me in unison. So this bit in yellow is the actual mantra we're going to be playing with. The bit in black is an effort to explain one of the meanings, one of the possible interpretations of the mantra. With whom we invoke the example of the Muni Wise One. Like the Maha greatly wise one Muni, yea, of the Shakyas we so how wish enlightenment for all. Emulating the archetype of enlightenment, we embrace our love for all beings. As we chant the mantra, it could feel as if golden rays are emitting from a thumbnail-sized horizontal 12-syllable mantra rosary at our hearts. Lavishing all minds, communication, bodies, and circumstances with wisdom, love, health, and good fortune centered and spontaneous. We're now going to use love as the impetus that helps us to practice acquiescence. If it is in the best interest of all that I have great wisdom, then may I have great wisdom. If it is in the best interest of all that I not have great wisdom, then may I not have great wisdom. May all beings benefit as if they had each been my kind mother. So we're going, for the next 4 exercises, we're going to play with 4 intentions. These are not affirmations. We're not trying to convince ourselves of anything. We're not trying to believe anything. We're not trying to actively visualize anything. But it has been found in the course of human events that rhetorical questions, questions that are not meant to be answered and that are predicated upon an assumption, is a wonderful way of installing a program into the supercomputer between our ears. Now, these 4 intentions, these 4 exercises, like all mantra work in Hayastaka Tantra, is highly figurative. You might say, dude, there's lots of room for error in dealing with figures of speech. You're right, there is. Why do it? Because all vertebrates on this planet have evolved to think symbolically. First we perceived, and then we began recalling perceptions and anticipating perceptions. And lo and behold, sentience was accomplished. We're going to take this 2-line intention and divide it between the 2 cycles of our breath, the inhalation and the exhalation, as well as the relaxation. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let us lovingly wish that all minds of all beings were now as wise as the archetypical Buddha's mind, symbolized by a 1-syllable mantra known as a seed mantra or a bija mantra. If we have the misfortune to be living in a toxic situation, escaping a toxic situation, or trying to forgive a past toxic situation, wishing those who have been cruel to us the wisdom to not be cruel, but to be kind in a sustainable manner, is the ultimate revenge. If it is in the best interest of all that I have great love, then may I have great love. If it is in the best interest of all that I not have great love, then may I not have great love. May all beings benefit as if they had each been my kind mother. Let us lovingly wish that all communication and its interpersonal consequences now be as loving as the speech of an archetypical Buddha, symbolized by mantra. If it is in the best interest of all that I have great beauty and health, and may I have great beauty and health. If it is in the best interest of all that I not have great beauty and health, and may I not have great beauty and health. May all beings benefit as if they had each been my kind mother. Let us lovingly wish that all bodies of all beings now enjoy the health that is depicted in artists' renderings of enlightened archetypes, known in Tibet as yidam. If it is in the best interest of all that I have great safety and luck, then may I have great safety and luck. If it is in the best interest of all that I not have great safety and luck, then may I not have great safety and luck. May all beings benefit as if they had each been my kind mother. Let us lovingly wish that all circumstances of all beings was now as fortunate as is depicted by the archetype of a real or imagined Buddha's paradise or Pure Land or Vati, if you prefer Sanskrit. As promised, we're now going to bring mantra contemplation into the path of the wisdom of letting go. May I let go of all circumstances, bodies, communication, and minds, as if they were as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although tantalizing to the eye, could be non-graspable to the hand. And as touched upon during this morning's pre-practice lesson, try saying that 4 times fast, we're going to play with 8 rhetorical questions. The first 4 with mantra, the final 4 without mantra. How is it that as we inhale, we can observe the visual attributes of our circumstances, and yet, as we physically relax into our exhalation, this exact same circumstance could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a real or imagined paradise comprised only of light. How is it that as we inhale, we can observe the sensuality of our bodies, and yet, as we physically relax into our exhalation, these exact same bodies could begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as an artist's representation of an enlightened archetype comprised entirely of light. As we inhale, how is it that, take 2, how is it that when we inhale, we can observe the resonance of our communication and its interpersonal consequences, and yet, as we relax into our exhalation, this exact same communication and its interpersonal consequences could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a mantra. how is it that when we inhale, we can clearly observe mind's functions of perception, emotion, intention, reason, recollection, and imagination, and yet, as we physically relax into our exhalation, all mind and all its functions could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a real or imagined seed mantra comprised only of light. As promised, we come to our final 4 post-mantra rhetorical questions. We're going to play with melting. We're going to use melting as a metaphor of impermanence to help us to leapfrog over the tyranny of our clinging. And we could use absorption as a metaphor of interdependence to help us to leapfrog over the tyranny of our competitive tendencies. How could all places blissfully melt into a rainbow light that absorbs into this body? How could all bodies blissfully melt into a rainbow light that absorbs into this speech? How could all speech blissfully melt into a rainbow light that absorbs into this mind? How could all minds blissfully melt into a rainbow light that absorbs into infinite emptiness? Mindfulness and meditation need not be a great mystery. We could practice mindfulness as we inhale by silently and mentally reciting "feeling this." And we could practice meditation as we exhale by silently and mentally reciting "relaxing." But how could that possibly work? With each inhalation, we automatically access the sympathetic nervous system that supports the sensory acuity that allows us to perceive sensation, flavor, scent, sound, sight, and the like, as well as the aforementioned emotion, intention, reason, recall, and imagination. In fact, by doing so, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly, the only label we'd need ever use is simply the pronoun this. But what are we to do with all this stuff that we notice? Fortunately, with each exhalation, we automatically access the parasympathetic nervous system that supports both our physical relaxation as well as our mental release. What are some of the things we could notice? What are some of the things we can notice ourselves releasing? We could find ourselves releasing our resistance to the absence of things we could find ourselves releasing our resistance to the presence of things we hate. We could find ourselves releasing our resistance to the absence of things we crave. We could find ourselves releasing our resistance to the loss of things to which we cling. It's approximately 47 minutes after the hour. Oh, look at this. There's a question. Ariel, so nice to visit with you. Ariel wrote, "You have helped me so much through your presence last year that I just had to give you my warm wishes this year. I really appreciate you, Lama." Right back at you, Ariel. Thank you very much. Love the hair, by the way. Thank you. Trying to grow my hair long, but the woman in my life explained to me that the reason my hair kept breaking is that I didn't cut the split ends. And so I have to be vigilant with that. Oh, the price of beauty. Let's meditate. In Tantric Buddhism, there is some confusion. There's a lot of confusion, but we're going to explore the confused statement that is as follows: that the understanding of emptiness cannot occur apart from devotion to the teacher. Okay, that only makes sense as a simile, for there's nothing magical about your teacher. Here's how it works. There's two prayers or practices in Tantric Buddhism: calling the Lama from afar and Guru Yoga. One helps our energy to gather at our crown. The other helps our energy to gather at our heart. These things, gathering your energy at our crown or gathering your energy at our heart, makes it easier to meditate on awareness and letting go, or bliss and letting go. That is the reverse engineering of the metaphoric statement that all too often And now we switch gears. No worries, Darren. May all mind, speech, forms, and lots have the wisdom, health, love, and... Take two. May all mind, speech, forms, and lots have the wisdom, love, health, and boon of Buddha's mythical bija mantra yidam and vati. Having sat for an hour, it may be quite refreshing to knock out 2 or 3 repetitions of geriatric step-back squat thrusts before a Buddha image, perhaps while performing recitations of love and enthusiasm. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path through Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path through Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings by mastering the Eightfold Path through Buddha's example, instructions, and students. Wait! May all beings like the Buddha, master being flexible, loving, laid-back, egalitarian, cooperative, and kind. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct in calmness, flow spontaneous and uncontrived. May all beings like the Buddha master the Eightfold Path as well as liberate all others. May each being take auspicious rebirth, master the Buddha's path, and then help all others do likewise. At this very moment, all the peoples and the nations of the earth may not even the names disease, famine, war, or suffering be heard. Rather may their conduct, merit, wealth, and prosperity increase, and may supreme good fortune and well-being always arise for them. Beginning with Kuntu Zangpo and Great Dorje Chang down to my own kind of true Lama. Whatever aspirations they have made to benefit beings, may I accomplish them all. If you feel I have earned it, please give this... In approximately 10.5 hours, we could explore metaphors, confusion, and meditation, as well as chant and meditate some more. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.